Morgan. This Maimer is based on the Rabbi explains the Kibbutz Yehudim that the Yidden accepted upon himself what they originally accepted upon himself of Matan Torah. So the Rabbi asked a question. The question is that the giving the Torah, the Jewish people were at a very high level. They went out of Mitzrayim. The Eibush himself took the Jews. God Himself took the Jews out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt. He revealed himself in great miracles in Egypt itself. He revealed himself at the sea. He then revealed himself at Matan Torah. Every single Jew saw the Gilui of Lakus, the revelation of godness. So, well, in the bottom page number 6, if the Jews reach such a spiritual level before the giving of the Torah, then surely the state that the giving of the Torah was even greater. Right, we say that Vayichi Yisrael Keneged Ahar, the Jewish people rested in front of the mountain. Ki ish echad b'leiv echad, they were one entity. When did they ever receive that concept as the one entity, that they became one entity before the giving of the Torah? So can you imagine the giving of the Torah itself? The giving of the Torah was one-time event. Even the time of Mashiach, the Torah won't be re-given, which shows that it's a peak that will never be reached again. The Jews reached a level at Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah, that will never ever come again. As the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, when the Torah was given, the world reached a similar state to the ultimate perfection which will be achieved in the time of Mashiach, when godliness will be tangible, seen in the physical world and with our physical senses. So it's extremely high level that we are trying to reach again, but we haven't reached at this present time. As a result of these tremendous revelation of godliness, the Jewish people reached extremely high spiritual level, but were nevertheless unable to completely accept the Torah. So what is the meaning? We reached to such a high level that we were never able to completely receive the Torah. Accept the Torah. We received it, but we didn't accept it. That we had to wait till the story of Purim. And by the story of Purim, we accepted it. The Jewish people on this level, very extremely high level, at the giving of the Torah. Now let's go to the situation when the Jews were at the story of Purim. Rebbe contrasts this with the Jewish situation at the time of Purim. During Golus, in general, Golus, none of these spiritual revelations are present. That's the meaning of Golus. Golus, the meaning when we are in Golus, whether you're in Boca, whether you're in Persia, the concept, the concept of Golus is that when there's darkness, that's Golus. Golus means that you cannot see clear. Things are not so clear. Right? You cannot see the emes. The emes is not revealed. Golus during the time of Purim, when Jews were able to completely accept the Torah, was particularly bad. Right? Haman's goal was to, God forbid, destroy and kill and exterminate all Jews, both young and old, small children, all in one day. You think Golus, the time of Haman, the Jewish people were like a year in great distress. It was like a year period. Imagine the Holocaust, it's 5 years. Golus, to almost complete darkness. Aster upon him. When the Eibush says, I'll hide my face. Today we are hiding for God. In time of Golus, when you have that kind of Golus of Haman or the Holocaust, Rahman al-Tzlan, these times, or other times in history, it's extreme dark. Right? And the Jew Chashon can say, where's God? The Torah says, the Jew Chashon say, that where is the Eibishter? At that time. Scary times.
A lot of people did.
And they have the right to say it. The Chas Shalom that the Eibishter left us. Chas Shalom. So it's a really sad situation. This was especially bad because Achashverosh was the ruler of the entire world. Achashverosh was a superpower of the world. Superpower. Had the power. Achman al-Islam. Had the power to destroy, and the Jews were all in one place. It was not like today where Jews are all throughout the entire world. The Jews were in one place. They were either in Persia or Israel, and they were in that between that areas. Very, very tight area. Chas v'shalom, Achashverosh, Haman would have accomplished his vision. Chas v'shalom. Who knows what it would have been? This was especially bad because Achashverosh ruled entire. It was impossible to flee to another country that was more friendly to the Jews. No possibility. Almost happened that in Germany. No Jews, nobody in the world wanted to take the Jews.
6 million.
I'm saying, but nobody, but the Jews couldn't flee. That was a sad thing. Nobody wanted to take the Yidden into their homes, into their countries. It's at that time, okay, but there were still Jews in America at that time. Similarly, the decree that carried out in one day, and then he wanted to accomplish it. You see, Haman was smart. He understood that if you're going to take the decree, you're going to spread it out over a long time. It's going to, the news will get out. How long are you going to keep a secret? It's slowly going to get out. And slowly, other people are not going to be happy with it. If you say b'yoyim echad, let's do it in one day. You do it in one day, finished. Everybody's excited about the day, and by the time they wake up and they realize, oops, what do we do? Oh, it'll be over. It was smart. He decided not to make to create concentration camps and figure out how to do this. One day, everybody should kill his yid in one day. And that's it. Haman said the same thing about Vashti. Kill her, and that's it. You're going to start put her away, have decrees, have a court case. No, get rid of her. The guy was drunk. Achashverosh was drunk. He woke up the next day and said, what did I do? No court case, no nothing, kill her. So he decided the same thing with Yidden, kill him in one day. Imagine, millions of Yidden, you're going to kill in one day. Nashim and Nashim and Taf. Men, women, and children. This was a gefährliche decree. Similarly, the decree was to carry out in one day, so it would be impossible to avoid it by running from place to place within Achashverosh kingdom. It's too late. You have one day, it's done. This situation created a special dark gullers corresponding to the lowest state of the Jewish people. That was dark. So the editors note, even though the comparison here between the Jewish spiritual situation at the time of the giving of Torah and their physical situation at the time of Purim are still comparable, since the Torah needs to be fulfilled within the physical mitzvahs. Therefore, a difficult physical environment causes a difficult in the improvements of Torah mitzvahs, and therefore the effect of this Jewish spiritual level. Ultimately, that's the connection. In the Rebbe just puts them together. If you follow my commandments, I'll give you prosperity, I'll give you success. So, right, but the problem is, Shamata Avisa Kasisa. Torah says that you get fat, you get lazy, and then you don't do what you're supposed to do. So we have the double thing. We want to have success, and we want to have spiritual success too. How do you have both of them together? Usually physical success takes away our spiritual success. Right? Because if we're inside in pain and suffering, then we cannot serve God with joy, and we cannot sometimes serve God at all. Because we know in all these decrees, Haman and all these communism and all these decrees, what was the first decree? That Jewish people cannot do Torah mitzvahs. That was the first thing that they did. You can't do Yiddishkeit. You can't do Torah mitzvahs. On a deeper level, one can even suggest that the Jewish people, low spiritual level, was a cause of difficult material situation. Are those who say that? Those who say Chas v'Shalom, because the Jewish people low themselves, they went to the party of Achashverosh, they gave away the Yiddishkeit. Maybe that brought upon them this concept. Therefore, at the time of the giving of the Torah, the high spiritual level resulted in a comfortable material situation, and the iteration of the spiritual level eventually resulted in persecution of Haman. Those who say, the Gemara says. So because the Yidden, against the will of Mordechai, went and started to do things that they shouldn't do, brought upon the Gezeira of Haman. Those that say that. So the Chayra, we're going from one level, seemingly we're going from one level of godliness, of Matan Torah, to another level of Galus, and we're saying that whatever was accomplished, whatever we try to accomplish at the giving of the Torah was not accomplished until this time of Haman. How do you put the two together? It doesn't really make sense. How does that work? Here the Jews were on this level, they didn't accept it. Here the Jews were on this level and they accepted it. Kimu v'kiblu, what they wanted to accomplish at Matan Torah, they accomplished at the story of Galus of Haman. Why? They were at a very low level, the Galus of Haman. They were at an extremely high level at Matan Torah. So the Rebbe explains the focus of Haman plan in greater detail. The Frierdiker Rebbe explains the most intense aspect of the spiritual Galus was the decree regarding Jewish education. As the Medrash says, Haman said, my initial target is these Jewish children. This does not mean that Haman wanted to limit his decree to the education of children. Rather, in order him to carry out his plan to, God forbid, destroy the Jewish people, he realized his most powerful way to achieve this was to start with the decree against education of Jewish children. That was number one. Number one was close all the Jewish schools. That's it. It was a year, the decree, it was the Yom the destruction, but there was a year length in the decree. The first thing he decreed, close all Jewish schools. And then close all, then they close all places of study and learning for general. Right. Then no brisses, no circumcisions.
In the time of Purim, we were afraid.
Correct.
In the time of Matan Torah,
we're not afraid. We're free. Right. So this was a time where there was no education. No. It was a very sad time. That's what happened. The same thing in the Holocaust. They closed all Jewish education. Close all Jewish places of study. Burn the schools down. The Frierdiker Rebbe's Maimah said in 1927, which is the same period of time when he was fighting against the communism of closing Jewish education. That's exactly what they did. Close Jewish education. That was the first thing they did, the communists. No Jewish education. Not only there's no Jewish education, there's a law against Jewish education. Not only they close the school, but you're not even in private school. You're not allowed to teach your kids Jewish education. So even to have a private teacher to teach their kids in private was illegal. Illegal to learn. That was the communist decree. That was the decree that every time any nation, whether Hanukkah, whether all these nations that wanted to destroy Am Yisrael, the first thing they realized was the best thing, the way to do it is stop education. If you don't educate your child, then what's the future? You don't have a future. You can have beautiful shuls, but if you don't educate children how to daven, so what is the shul worth? We'll have beautiful museums. We'll have beautiful buildings. Yeah, it's sad. So that's the way to do it. You don't have to kill him. You don't have to kill him with a bullet. You can kill him with their minds and finish. That's a gullus. That's real gullus. When you take away Jewish education, the Gemara, we say in halacha that even for the building of Beis Hamikdash, you don't stop Tinei Kashem Yisrael. Even for the building of the temple, you don't stop the learning of Jewish education. Jewish children should continue to learning even though we're going to build the Beis Hamikdash. Right? What would be more important than going and build the Beis Hamikdash? It's not of great importance. Every Jew should be involved, but not for Islam, Jewish education. Children should be in school and learn Torah.
I read this week on Chafetz Chaim that if someone is asking for money, you're learning, you're allowed. If there's nobody to give money,
right,
you're allowed to stop. So it's more important to give money to someone than build a Beit HaMikdash.
Or learn Torah than something else. So I'm talking about children's education. I'm not talking about your education. You're an adult. Children's education. Adults should stop learning and build the Beis Hamikdash. He has an obligation to build the Beis Hamikdash. If nobody else can build the Beis Hamikdash, he has to go build the Beis Hamikdash. Okay. But a child, in elementary and high schools, should not close down for nothing. Should not close down for nothing. Should close them down.
Rabbi, how do you feel about the sacrifice that they want to do in the Kotel? They want to sacrifice on Pesach. They want to sacrifice on Pesach.
Well, this whole halachas, the Rebbe once spoke about it. Really, in Yerushalayim, even today, there might be an obligation to bring Korban Pesach. There might be an obligation. There is, even if it has nothing to do with. The question is, in Yerushalayim today, in Yerushalayim since 1967, is there an obligation to bring the Korban Pesach? So there is the Rebbe once spoke about it. And they said, I think it was said that they told the Chabad people they should leave Yerushalayim the day ahead of Pesach, not to be obligated to bring a Korban Pesach.
Because there's Korban Pesach?
No, Korban Pesach is not just one Korban. Everybody has to bring a Korban Pesach. See, it doesn't make a difference that they're bringing a Korban Pesach. You have to bring, every Jew has to bring a Korban Pesach. So it's not just their obligation that they're doing a symbolic act. Every Jew in Yerushalayim needs to bring a Korban Pesach if we're obligated to bring a Korban Pesach.
Let's start with one.
So, also, we're talking about in the old city. Yeah, so now, not the whole...
they're talking
right.
At the Kotel,
yeah.
They're going to do a sacrifice of a...
Yeah, listen.
Korban Pesach.
They did it. I mean, listen, they just...
about Jewish education, I saw in the Yom Yom a nice story. It said that a couple brought their son to the Rebbe, and they said that they were deciding to give him a Jewish education. And the Rebbe asked them, how old is the child? And they said, 6 years old. And he said, why did you wait so long to bring him to me? We saw yesterday with the Upshirning, right? In other words, it started 3 years old, 3 years old.
That returns to the question if Friedrich could have his maimah, even though the Jews were extremely high on spiritual level at the time of the giving of the Torah, they still were only able to start their acceptance of the Torah at that time. However, during the time of the Gullahs, and specifically the extreme harsh Gullahs that were experienced at the time of Purim, they were able to complete their acceptance and fulfill the Torah in the ultimate degree. The fact that you were able to achieve the greatest spiritual heights in such a terrible situation, in a complete, inconceivable nifla, how can this be explained? How can we explain this achievement? That's the wonder. The wonder is the nifla. That's why the Nefidi Rebbe says that this is a wondrous thing that the Jewish people accomplished in Gullus more than the Jewish people accomplished on Matan Torah. The Gemara says so, that the Jewish people accomplished at the time of Gullus, of exile, more than they accomplished at Matan Torah. That's a nifla. That's a wonder.
Till today?
Yep. So the Rebbe focuses to the answer the Friedrich Rebbe provides in his Maimah. So the Rebbe, Friedrich Rebbe, page 11. The Friedrich Rebbe explains the unique advantage that the Jew had in the time of Purim with the following pasuk. It says in the pasuk, "At tetzav Yisrael v'yikra lecha Hashem and zayizar kasus lamor lahalis ne'etam." Which means, you shall command the children of Israel, they shall take to you pure olive oil, crushed, for the lighting to kindle the lamps continuously. Even though the simple explanation of the word lamor, for the lighting, little meaning of the word is for the source of light. We know that there's two words, there's and ma'or. Is light. Ma'or is the illuminary. So we have the light of the sun, and we have the sun. The sun is the ma'or. He's the source of light. Or and Mor. Many concepts of Chassidus explains the concept of Or and Mor, the light and the source of light. So the source of light is not there only for the light. It's for the Mor. It's for the illuminator. He's not there for light per se. The Eibush didn't create the sun only for light, even though it's a source of light. Yeah? So in Chassidus, light refers to revelation of godliness, while the source of light refers to the essence of godliness. Ein chadash tachas hashemesh. Ein chadash tachas hashemesh. Nothing new under the sun. That's the source of light. There's nothing new under the Ma'or. Right? In Ur, in the concept of light, you find new concepts. Right? When there's light, you can see what's going on. You're living in darkness, it's hard to see what's going on. It's hard to find things. You're blind, chas v'shalom. When there's light, there's Ur. What is the light? What does light accomplish? It reveals things that are hidden. That's what light reveals. That's not the concept of Mor. The concept of Mor, which is the illuminary, is there for itself. It's not there per se to give any light. It's there even though it gives light. The Mor is the essence. That's why we consider godliness, God as a concept of Mor, the source of light, the creator. Everything comes from him, but he's not. But not that and nothing affects him. Just like the Ur doesn't affect the Mor, the Ur doesn't change the Mor. Right? There's no effect in the Mor, the Ur, that there's light or there's not light. He's not there for the light. Shem is right. So the Ur is Hashem himself. The Mor is the Eibush himself. It's an analogy. We'll give an analogy. Ki shemesh umogein havaya lekim. Expression, right? Ki shemesh umogein, as the sun and his sheath is God, the two names of God. So Yud Kei Vav Kei is shemesh. Mogein is Elikim. So the shemesh is the Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is Lamaila. It's the name of God that is infinite, the infinite concept of God. And then you have the Mogain, which is the Ur, is Elikim, is where the Eibush comes in Ur. Ur has its limitation. The Shemesh is the Mor, has no limitation. It's infinite.
Just don't get
So Chas Shalom, you can have.
The sun is limited.
Yeah, right. We're not comparing the Eibush to the sun. They're giving an analogy to the ray of the sun. To the sun, the sun is unlimited to the ray of the sun. It's not. It's an analogy. It's not right. The sun is limited. We're giving us an analogy.
Okay.
That, like Shlomo Melech gave an analogy. Ki shemesh u'mogein Hashem Elokim. They gave an analogy. It's not a complete. It's a mashal. But you have the concept. So there's a lot of aspects in this analogy. A lot of unbelievable points come out of this analogy of the shemesh and the Ur. Right? The Ur is batal hashemesh. The whole concept of the Alter Rebbe says, Neshama ki neir Hashem nishmas adam. As the candle of God is the soul of man. That's like was an example, because the fire always wants to go above, always wants to go to its source. What's the source? Is the shemesh. So fire always wants to go above, because its source is the shemesh. When it goes above, it's going to be batal hashemesh. It's going to be nullified to the shemesh, but that's what it wants to do. Or batal amar, right? The Ur is always nullified to the mar. Ur davak lamar, light is always connected to the mar. So the mar is not there per se for the light, but without the mar, you don't have the light. The Eibishter created the world, everything comes from him. and not that he's affected by anything in creation. Because everything's from him. Because everything is in comparison to he that is the Ma'or. Yeah, deep concepts. But that's what they used to create a shemesh, that we'd be able to comprehend something. Why did the Eibusher create a shemesh? The Eibusher could create a different way, or that there'll be light in the world. The Eibusher wanted to create a shemesh that would have an analogy of this concept of Or and Mor. We wouldn't have an analogy. How would you have an analogy of Or and Mor if there wouldn't have been a shemesh? If there wouldn't be a shemesh, there wouldn't be a sun. So we have an analogy in Chassidus. We can explain something. So that's the thing. So the source of light refers to the essence of God. This is Hashem himself, an analogy, through the phrase crushed for the source of light. So what does the pasuk mean? Kosis lamor. It was crushed for the source. What does that mean? Crushed for the source. I mean, the simple meaning is you have to take an olive and you have to crush it to get its oil. You're not going to crush it. You're not going to get its oil. Right? You have to crush it. Yeah. But in this concept, the more is the essence that sometimes you have to crush. You have to crush the olive. You have to crush it to reveal it. To receive the Or Havayah, to receive not only the Or, the light of God, to the Mor, to the luminary, you have to be able to crush something to reveal the essence. That's Golus.
So we are in the Galut now. What are we crushing?
What? Our biggest crushing should be that we're in Golus. That we have the capability in today's time to be Gula, and we're still in Golus. That's the greatest crushing you can have.
Trying to
right?
crush now.
The sadness we're sad of our separation of godliness. We're all sad in our separation of godliness. We're so close, but seemingly so far.
Well, obviously we're not going to be revealing.
We'll get to the Rebbe's going to explain. Don't worry, he's not going to leave you hanging. So through the phrase crushed to the source of light, the pasuk teaches us that a Jew needs to be crushed in order to reach a source of light, the essence of godliness. The Frierdiker Rebbe, again, said this in 1927. He's talking to the Jews as they were being crushed, really physically crushed. Told them not to give up. This Maimah, Frierdiker Rebbe spoke. He knew that this was not a good time. He said the speech in public, even though he knew that this was not a good speech to be said on the communist rule. It would bring him a lot of tzaddis. But he understood he had to tell the Yidden at that time that even though they're being crushed, but they should realize, and it's against their will, they're crushing, their terrible situation they're going through, but they should realize that this is going to bring them to a higher light. This is going to bring them to a higher level, and they shouldn't give in. You shouldn't give in to the crushing. So this was a real story. This is a real mimer that dealt with real situations. The question is, as he says right now, is what is today the crushing? So the Rebbe will talk about it, self-understood. Today we have the same kind of crushing. We have our own, we're doing the crushing by ourselves. That's the biggest sadness. When you're being crushed by some goy out there, by some nation, by some communist, is one sadness. Being crushed by yourself might be even a greater sadness. So that there's lack of Jewish education, and for whatever reason that they have, 80% of the kids are not going to Jewish school, is a sad situation. Nobody's stopping anybody from going to Jewish school, like in communism or in Persia or in other parts of the world. Today we're ourselves crushing ourselves.
And it's free. You don't have to pay.
Where?
to go to school.
Yeah, but it's not. That's the problem. That's the crushing. The crushing is the high bills of Jewish school. That's the crushing. So what's the bigger crushing? I don't know. So that's a sad thing. So it might be a sadder thing that today you have the capability. Every Jewish kid should be in Jewish school. Every Jew should be learning Torah as an adult, and we don't. So who's stopping us? Is there a law? Is there a decree? Is there a decree out there? Is there a rule in the books of the? So what's the worst crushing? Self-crushing, or other people crushing? So it's we have to realize that we're being crushed. Simulation's on the high; it's not on the low.
So where's the revelation higher? Self-crushing or crushing by other people?
Much higher by self-crushing. And you should do self-crushing.
So
you should better do self-crushing. Because by other people there's no gain. That's the beauty of self-crushing. By other people there's no gain. Because yeah, sure, other people are gonna crush you. You're gonna but self-crushing is when a person realizes himself, it comes through it himself. Revelation of true self. Whether he goes through it through a mashber, when he goes through a self-crushing, he goes through self-analyzation, whatever it might be. It's much more bepnimis. It's much more
so
deep.
We're in a higher state of
100%. 100%. Because it's our own freedom. It's not somebody else is forcing us to realize these concepts. That's what the Rambam says. That one of the revelations of Kabbalah Mashiach is not going to be Shibud Golas. One of the concepts of Messianic time, there won't be any kingly domination of Jewish people. And that's what we're living today in. There's anybody Jew can go anywhere. There's not a place in the world that a Jew cannot go. or you don't want to go to North Korea, you know what I mean? But the Jew can live it. You don't have to live under oppression anywhere today. Right? That hasn't been for thousands of years. Since Churban Beis Hamikdash. Since 2,000 years ago. That has not fallen apart since the downfall of communism. Okay? Which is unbelievable. Which is the nifla. If you would have told Yidden 100 years ago that communism would fall apart, they would tell you you're dreaming. It's not a possibility. Right? It's impossible. Right? Communism fell without one shot. The Rebbe Rashab, when communism came to the world, he said this is not going to last forever, it's going to fall. And it fell.
Everything lasts forever.
It fell apart. Without anybody getting hurt, it fell apart. Gave freedom Yidden, right? Freedom to Yidden today. Today, Chabad in Russia is this big homosexual in America. Right? So what Stalin wanted to do 70 years ago, 70, 80 years ago, it was Nahapachu. It just transformed itself totally. So today, Yidden can live anywhere in the world, and they can do their Yiddishkeit anywhere in the world. Nobody's holding them back. I mean, there's anti-Semitism in the world, but nobody's holding them back. Nobody's stopping them. I
think the anti-Semitism makes us more stronger.
Right? But you don't have to come to anti-Semitism. Baruch Hashem, you can live anywhere and everywhere. You walk in today into a Publix. It's amazing. Everything is kosher. Almost 90% of the store is kosher. You can buy everything kosher today. Every product and every concept. It's like unbelievable. Whoever imagined that? Right?
So revelation is greater now, but is actually closer. There's two separate issues here. Greatness and how close it is.
Because it is because it's close, but it's far. That's the problem. It's far because it's in our hands.
So the greater the revelation is, the farther it is. Then.
In a way, because it's up to you. It's farther away, not because of somebody else. That's why it's sad. It's because it's in your hands. If it's in my hands and I'm not doing it, so that's why it's extremely far. If it's not in my hands, then okay. So what if it's not in my hands? How can why? But if it's in my hands, I have the capability. I can touch it. I can change it, and I don't want to change it. Then it shows you how deeply far it is for me that I could change it. I have the capability of changing it. It's easy for me to change, and I don't want to do it. That's a sad situation. That's taking a horse to the water and doesn't want to drink. That's a sad situation. That we can be so close, and you see great revelations, you see great situations that hasn't been in history for thousands of years, but we want to deny it. We want to, for some reason, not accept it. You see miracles that Israel daily. You see constant unbelievable things, and we still don't want to accept. We still don't want to say the Eibishter. We don't want to still thank God for some reason. We don't want to say this is a miraculous godly concept. We don't. We're afraid to do it. It's there, but we're afraid to say it. The Goyim will say it. Right? The Dodgers will say, yeah, you're a miracle, this is that. The Yidden are afraid. They're afraid to say it. It's like a frightening thing. Why are you so frightened? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? You say, thank God. No. We're not gonna do that. Because that's a gullus. That's a sad situation. That's a gullus. For thousands of years, Jews couldn't say it. Right? If you said it, you would have put to death. Today you could say it, and we don't want to say it. We have this gullus mentality. You take the Jew out of gullus, so you can't take the gullus out of him. We got this gullus mentality. Rabbi. So what's a bigger gullus? Do you be forced to talk about a gullus, or have your own gullus so you can't get out of it?
Rabbi, I think today, if we recognize people not religious will recognize the miracle, as you're saying, they will be in the same package. They have to do the mitzvot. And once you don't agree, even if you don't study, I don't agree, so you don't have to do nothing.
But that's who's forcing you not
But
to
that's
agree.
why they don't want to say.
We
it.
need...
Yeah.
So?
He's
I don't
afraid to say, thank God, he might become religious, he might get closer to the religion, and he doesn't want, you tell him what's
So,
he doesn't want to put
we gotta go.
Why?